Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to another recording / live stream of Hearthstone. So we've got 10 days left for the June season to end, and as far as the rumors go, 2 days until the Steam summer sale, so I have to make some choices pretty quick there too. Today will be the last day in which I stream without my new TV unless something terribly goes wrong. I actually have it, I just haven't hooked it up yet. I didn't want to take even longer to start today. So we need to get 50 Hunter class cards, 7 games in any mode, and 50 Druid class cards. So Hunter and Druid things. Nobody's online right now. That's kind of a shame. And Tavern Brawl comes back in a while, so let's see. Hunter class cards and Druid class cards. Let's start with Druid. Here. And in the meantime, we probably will be able to get the 7 victories in between doing the Hunter and Druid if we're lucky. Hopefully we are lucky. And there's not a ton of news today. I didn't even fill up my whiteboard. So I think we are hitting that point where things are simply just not see, I don't want to have that right now. Well, I think we hit a slow week because of E3. Last time when I streamed, which was on Sunday, and nobody was online at that time, there was still a lot of post E3 work to do. We're past that now. If there was any E3 news I missed, which almost certainly there was, some things that were done in back rooms and announcements for indie games that came out during the time of E3. But we're mostly probably done with all of that. Still very happy with my E3 coverage. At the very least, it feels like I challenged myself to do something new and try to improve, and that's always a nice way to do things, is just to try something different. Let's see if I give this +3 health. That might work. Let's go ahead into the news then. Capcom and Bandai Namco have entered a cross-licensing agreement to improve online matchmaking, for example in Street Fighter. So now things like Street Fighter, and I would assume something like Capcom versus SNK, and anything that is actually made by Capcom is in a high chance of, let's see, if I do this and then gain 2 mana crystals, can I do this? Let's see. It worked. Now I'm at a nice position. So better online matchmaking for them is a good idea. In general, cross-licensing is not a terrible idea in the first place. I would prefer more of the free and open source software to be used to help the software community in general, instead of just a couple of video game companies, but then they are kind of specialized around video games. There have been more leaks of Shadow of the Tomb Raider And so not really anything to say there. Quote unquote leaks. This is really just advertising, or more than likely it's just an advertisement. I can't say for certain. Killer Instinct, somewhat surprisingly, is coming to Steam. It was a Windows Store exclusive. I'd like to play Killer Instinct. I'm not sure how much of it I can really play though. In all honesty, unless there's a story mode in there that I don't remember, I don't think I could do much more than a spotlight or two. And Killer Instinct has a weird free-to-play element to it anyway, so there's some navigation around that. The Crew 2 will let you switch vehicles on the fly, which is strange. And not just cars. Like, you can be in a plane over water and apparently switch to a boat. That's the demo they showed. Let's see, do I have enough of these? Nope.
Beetleberries, my favorite.
Which, I never really thought of a game like that. Like a racing game where you could switch vehicles on the fly. I guess the Crew 2 isn't... probably isn't a pure racing game. Certainly if it's going to have that element to it. Let's see, do I want to do this or this? This is a pirate one, this is a regular one. Now, sadly can't play that. Let's see what we want to do here. The Life of Strange striking voice actor is credited as a story consultant, and frankly, I'm just gonna put an opinion here. Somebody's on the chat. Nice to have somebody on the chat. I assume his name is Min, so I'm gonna say hi, Min. Back he said hi. So they knew for the Life is Strange prequel that she was going to be on strike and she couldn't voice act her. So the way I take it, and they try to make this like it's a good thing or that she was actually involved, whereas if they really wanted her to be involved, their parent company, whoever is the parent company of the company that's making Life is Strange, could have probably tried harder to negotiate a contract, because they are doing contracts by contract deals, and they could have there we go, charge. So there we go. Just gonna end the turn here. So I think they could have negotiated a contract. I think they could have had the character back. They could have done several things, or just done nothing at all. But what instead they did, which I think is just kind of manipulative, is they sent the first episode, the first part of that new prequel game to her and asked her what did she think, and then they're crediting her as a story consultant because she gave back her feedback. Now inherently this really falls on her for being a bad union member, because if you're on strike you're literally not supposed to have any contact with the employer at all that you're striking. And so she effectively, sad to say, crossed the picket lines and and worked for them in some other capacity.
Let me change your
And
mind.
I have no idea if she was actually paid for being labeled as a story consultant, or if this is just a way of the company of trying to say, oh, she was involved when she really wasn't. And that kind of immediately just gets around the idea of a strike in the first place. And so this is kind of nasty trickery going on there. Of course, most people probably wouldn't even know that anything about that if it wasn't me reporting on it, and me reporting on the fact that they were interviewed and they said they made her a story consultant, or they called her a story consultant. ARMS surprisingly released. I didn't even know. It really released, as far as I'm concerned, to no fanfare at all. There was this brief moment in which the video game critics seemed to say that they kind of liked ARMS for a little bit. I'm not it almost kind of felt like they liked it when they first started playing it, and then as they got deeper, they didn't think there was enough there. But now it's...
Obey.
Let's see. I guess I'm gonna kill this character. Now it's out, and it's really... its sales don't seem very high because of that. An interesting story here, we have Dragon's Dogma / DMC creator, or the guy behind it, Hideki Itsuno, has apologized for being absent at E3. He says his next project is progressing smoothly. I think that might be the overly polite Japanese aesthetics. I'm sorry I didn't go to a conference or have anything new to say show, which is fine by me. I'm really gonna burn through all of the news, and we are trying for the new time thing to try to get like 2 recordings, so I don't know how we're gonna do this, in all honesty.
In the grand tournament, you win or you die. For the wild.
Let's go ahead and take 3 damage and potentially die. I could die here if this works. Atari has announced an Atari box. Basically, it seems like it's going to be like the Nintendo Classic. The only difference here is it will have Atari games, and it's going to be based on PC technology, which is to say it's going to have emulators instead of, oh, I don't know, maybe a direct recreation of an Atari, or a fully programmable chip like an FPGA. That would be the only other things. In all honesty, I think Atari games can almost perfectly, if not perfectly, be emulated, all of them. But also, in all honesty, I don't think very many people are going to want an Atari box to play the Atari games. The people that are going to get that, I think, a lot of them are going to get it as something to put on their shelf and play once and never use again. There's more GTA takedowns, mostly hack mods. Some of the hacker mods came back and said that they talked to Take-Two and Rockstar, and they said they agreed to donate the proceeds they had made, and that they were sorry to some charity. And then honestly, I think that's probably not going to happen. It seems like it's just a lie and a diversion to say, oh, we're not really the bad guys because we made this hack mod, and like whatever, like sure, yeah. But GTA, Rockstar and Take-Two aren't completely innocent in this either. If I was to guess, what happened here is they wanted to take down Open 4, which is not really a hack mod, and then they either foresaw or immediately got feedback from the community who's very unhappy about that, and so they figured they'd just ride the wave of hate, take down a bunch of hacker mods in the same move, and then try to get maybe a few brownie points back. Clearly GTA is only interested in GTA Online right now, and because of that they see any mod as a competition, something that they don't want to have to deal with or compete against. So this also shines a very bad light on a potential GTA 7, I think is the next one in the series, or frankly any other product from Rockstar. Like, I know there's some other things that people would like them to make and do, but I'm not sure those are really going to happen. And so, yeah, I think we may see for like the next 5 to 10 years just Grand Theft Auto Online, and that's it. And that's the only thing that they want to make or add to the video game community. Take-Two probably will still be allowed to publish and get 30% or whatever it is off the sales of other companies. I didn't want to get into it too much because probably in 3 more days when I stream again, there will be another handful of things that they take down. Switch has gotten an update to 3.0. It has added 3DS and Wii U friends, so you can find your friends because of that. Now it's added online notifications of those friends, so some of the stuff feels like it should have been there already. And it has added the ability to find your controllers to make them beep, and then you can move the user icon order and change and it added a few new user icons that you can pick from. Moving the user icon order still doesn't really solve the issue of if 2 kids are playing on the Switch right now. I don't think there's a way to move the save data or the profile of one of those users to a secondary Switch. So any progress that the second child makes, if he gets a second Switch for himself, he'll have to start directly at the beginning again of all his games, which is not really an acceptable thing if you've put a couple hundred hours into Zelda Breath of the Wild. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered is rumored to finally get a standalone release. Remember that you could only get that if you pre-ordered, I believe, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which nobody liked that game. Nobody liked the game, and nobody liked the fact that they had to pre-order a different game to get the one they actually wanted. Choose a beast, become a copy of it.
Welcome to the Grand Tournament, champion.
Gain 2 armor and +2 attack this turn. Nice. But you can't play this card a second time, even if you could bring them back with like a panda and get this to go up any higher. At least I've never seen it be able to be done. Speaking of companies being mostly sorry and people being sorry, Friday the 13th developers have said that they are sorry and given away some free stuff in the latest update. The weirdest thing I find about the Friday the 13th situation is the fact that there's really no reason that they should be having this trouble at all. Because if you give it a slight bit of thought and look at a calendar, in October, just a couple of months from now, we're in June, so just a few months, like 4. In October, there is a Friday the 13th. In fact, an October Friday the 13th is about the best Friday the 13th you can possibly have. And even if it wasn't a Friday the 13th this year, just on the face of it, what month of the 12 months is best to release a game about the Friday the 13th horror series? October. So they could have simply just developed the game as it clearly needed more development and released it on October Friday the 13th and had a much more finished product. Is that really going to solve all the problems with Friday the 13th as a game? Probably not. Not really. The game still kind of is this asynchronous bad game. Is there going to be a lot of competition coming out on Friday the 13th in October? Maybe. I mean, there might be a decent number of Steam horror games and maybe a few console horror games. I wouldn't be surprised if something along the lines of Evil Within 2 actually came out on Friday the 13th. I'm not sure there's really much other things, but I still think that would have been the better plan. Give themselves more time. But maybe they were just running out of money. And speaking of running out of money, did I not even write that down? IO Interactive, now that it's independent, has put out the first location of Hitman for free. And I think that is exactly the right move, but I also have to wonder, is it possible that they need that startup cash just to ensure that they can continue working? Why did that not work?
I don't have enough mana.
I played the coin and I got an extra thing. It animated wrong, I think there. So hopefully Hitman succeeds, but IO Interactive also needs a second product out there. They need 2 things making them money, and they need it kind of fast, because unlike a small independent company that is slim and ready for bearing the hard times, I would imagine IO Interactive is a very well built, full of a lot of programmers and developers that expect to be paid, and they need some income to come in. That was what Square Enix was giving them, and it's also what Square Enix didn't want to continue to give them. Halo 6, moving on to the next story, will not be discussed or revealed anytime soon, according to a 343 industry spokesman. I imagine this was a direct question during E3, is just people asking why was there no Halo announcement. I am more surprised that there's no like PC version of the original Halo, honestly. Did I start a timer? No, I did not, so I'm gonna have to look and see how long I've been going. I failed to start a timer. I knew there was something I was missing. No, I didn't, but I felt like something might be missing. I can say that much. The FTC has aimed to block a DraftKings FanDuel merger over monopoly concerns. I'm not sure this is really that video game related. DraftKings, I guess, is technically, and FanDuel are technically video games in a sense. They're statistics manager, like fantasy football companies. So there's something to that, I suppose. Blocking them over monopoly concerns is a good move. Blocking them over the fact that they encourage gambling in general is probably a good move. Anthem is supposed to be the start of a 10-year journey for EA and BioWare. So it's basically their Destiny, which you would think people wouldn't say that considering how Destiny wasn't actually a 10-year journey. Well, what they were really saying was that the original program of Destiny, that there would be no Destiny 2, and obviously there is a Destiny 2. They were saying that that was going to last 10 years and they were just going to continuously add content. And frankly, it just doesn't work. Like, they have sold enough people, certainly on the concept of being of buying DLC, but not so much so that they would buy 10 years of it. That they'll buy maybe 1 year of DLC, most people will, and then they want a sequel. I've got somebody else on the chat. Somebody speaking in Russian. English, please. If you don't type in English, I don't know what you're saying, and I have to assume it's profanity and just block you. It's one of the rules that should be displayed right here. It's English only. Not until YouTube fixes this. If at some point YouTube fixes their chat and it auto-translates things, then everybody will be happy, and I'll be more than happy to allow people to type in whatever language they're most comfortable. But until that happens, I don't have time to go copy and paste comments into an auto-translator, Google Translate, to see what you're saying. Also, if you don't type in English, then I can't respond to you, so that I'll leave it at that. So it's 2:09. We've been going about 30 minutes, so we'll go a couple more games, I suppose. .hack/GU Last Recode is coming to the West in late 2017. It's a remaster of volumes 1, 2, and 3 of, I assume, .hack/GU, and I would assume the Last Recode part means a remaster. I heard somebody talking about .hack and how they loved it when it first came out, and it certainly caught my eye because it was on Toonami when it first came out. But in retrospect, you know, they really said there was nothing there, and you know, it's kind of true now that I think about it. When I think about all of the anime that I'd want to go back and watch, .hack isn't really one there. It's something I'd want on my shelf just because it had some tiny historical importance, but I would never actually watch. And it's only tinily, smallly historically important because it was on Toonami. At the very least, I think even Sword Art Online is way better than .hack, and it's the same concept. But they certainly seem to want to bring back the .hack series. And that doesn't mean that you couldn't take that concept and do something good with it. So I'm simply talking about the first couple of anime series. Any games or any new animes that come out might be great. We just don't know yet. So The fact that the old versions were bad isn't gonna play a huge part on the new versions. And bad might be saying actually too much, in all honesty. It might be better to say that it was just kind of slow and boring. So it turns out you can beat the game threes, and nobody knew this because you have to get a really high score. But if you get a score of 1,594,323 in one square, it will add up all the other points that you have, and it's just game over at that point. It's congratulations, you won. There's nothing else that we can there's nothing else that you can do. So there is a maximum. My guess is you probably couldn't go much higher on some mobile devices, because if you add up 1.5 million to another 0.5 million, you're up to 3 million, and if you're not using a big enough number in your system, that might hurt something. Like, because an 8-bit number is 255 is the maximum. A 16-bit number, I think, is somewhere 65,535, and then a 32-bit number, I think, is like 4 billion. So yeah, I don't know. They probably just figured that was enough. It also, the way threes works out, there may actually be a physical limitation of just how possible it is to do, because to make a number you have to make another block that matches that number, which means there's probably a hard limiting factor on how many squares can actually be on the game field. But it's taken a long time. Threes has been out for at least 5 years, as far as I can guess. Moving on, Origin updates, and Origin has updated, and it's added a first frames per second counter and cross-game invites, and you can now manage the download speeds. I still don't really want to have Origin installed or have to use Origin. That seems... it's just not what I want to do. I should have attacked first and then transformed it. And frankly, I wouldn't trust the frames per second counter inside of Origin, because they have a vested interest in making it seem like more frames are rendering than actually are. So they're not a neutral party there. Some of this stuff seems oddly odd that it's just now getting added. Same is true for the Switch updates and the other updates. The worst part of Origin, though, for me, is that there are just some Electronic Arts games that aren't on Steam because of it. And I find that rather irritating. Can I choose a beast and become a copy of it? Not without having a beast on time. Let's just go ahead and play this. And then this, and then this, and then in the turn. In a strange bit of news, I keep hearing it clicking. I don't know what's going on with my headphones or what. That would really suck if my headphones were breaking. Maybe my neck is just popping. Anyways, in a strange bit of news, one of the developers of Madden, named Jonathan Sullivan, who was only age 27, was shot and killed. He was apparently in some kind of fight with another person. That other person brought out a gun and shot them. Then the person who shot him was held at gunpoint by another person at the establishment. I think it was a restaurant or so, and made the person who shot the developer lay on the ground until the police showed up. Which, that seems like he was probably in a very unsafe place if there was two people that just were casually holding guns on them. Like, and they were in there was any chance whatsoever that they were going to get in a fight, and their solution to that fight was to pull out a gun and shoot somebody. So, seems like a tragedy waiting to happen, and it finally did happen. Moving on, since there's really not a lot more to talk about there. Half-Life 2 Remake Black Mesa has yet again delayed its Zen level. It says it's the last time, so but frankly, I don't know why I would believe somebody who's delayed things before, that say that they are to believe them that promise they're going to get it done. If you have an inability to get something done, you just have an inability to get something done on time. And the thing about scheduling is 99.9% of the time is all you need to do is just not put a date on it. Say, it's done when it's done. Particularly in the video game industry, I know people are excited about Black Mesa as a remaster of Half-Life, but you should just not just generally under-promise and over-deliver. The Cyberpunk Adventure 2064 read-only memories is coming to Switch. I know critics like that game, but it looks a little 2D for me, and I don't think very many people were actually that interested in it. Twitch Prime subscribers are getting free Overwatch loot boxes through watching the Twitch rewards. And Overwatch has put out its new
Beetleberries, my favorite.
Let's see. Is this a beast I can copy? Are any of these beasts?
For the wild. Job done.
I want to play these cards if I can. Overwatch updates have come out. They've nerfed the Roadhog hook combo. I don't know what that really means, but I don't think people are going to like it. And they've added the Lunar Colony map, which I do think people will probably like a new map. Cryptocurrency is driving up both AMD and NVIDIA graphics cards, which sucks for me because I kind of want it. And then that just kind of leaves what's going on with me. Copyrights for the E3 things, copyright claims are being slowly released, which is nice. And I'm trying to play LA Noire and having a real hard time finding interest. And on top of that, there's several police cases where a murdered woman's body gets dumped naked in somewhere, and so there's 3 different recordings where I'm having to do major amounts of blurring and censoring, and frankly I'm gonna probably just kind of half-ass it in some of them and just be like, yeah, good enough, who cares. If for 3 frames it flashes a naked bloodied woman, whatever. I'm gonna put mature audiences only on that game anyways, and let's just hope this doesn't lead into a YouTube really being upset about that and giving me a community guideline strike. I think I can probably avoid that. Unlike, say, Honey Pop, where it was simply a topless woman or a full image of a naked woman where I could just blur it out. In total, LA Noir has you walking around it looking for clues and puts the naked bodies right in the center of a 3D environment, so I'm constantly having to use Google's own terrible blurring tool to keep a square over the part I'm trying to censor. And it's taking attempt after attempt after attempt, and it's a huge waste of time. And in general, I'm not really enjoying how LA Noir plays. I think in hindsight, I kind of like the concept of the story in the game more than I actually like the game. Anyways, that's, I think, good enough for one recording. I'm going to start a timer next time. But if you're watching live, stay tuned and we'll continue. We'll try to get the Hunter cards played. Everybody else, if you're watching recorded, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.